thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again. Look, we threatened this a while back, Jared. I believe when we did Ghost in the Machine, is that correct? Is when I threatened this particular film.
Yeah, I think that's when the conversation began.
Started. You told me we were not fucking watching this thing. Strangely enough, you bought it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It's Brainscan. I believe you bought a 2-pack though.
Yeah.
Brainscan mixed with Mind Warp.
Well,
So that'll get a run.
yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's right. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So Brainscan tonight from '94, one of those sort of techno horror films.
That beloved genre.
Yeah, that genre that kind of unfortunately died out. I'm not really sure why, but before we get to that, Jared, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions about. A little while back, you bought Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yep.
So I just want to just touch base briefly on that because obviously we're fairly big into our gaming as well, and obviously it's a film property made by the same guys that made Friday the 13th. Same type of premise, is that not correct?
Yeah,
kind of
very similar.
One against.
Yeah, I can't remember what they call it.
Asymmetric. Asymmetric, yeah.
So it's one against 4 in this one.
So how is it?
Look, I don't mind it. It's a bit of fun. Extremely repetitive, but there is sort of, as you progress through the levels, there's some pretty cool customization options for the characters and the predators. They've just dropped Dutch as well. So we've picked up the Dutch skin and having a bit of fun with that. Look, there's a lot of people that aren't real pleased with the gameplay, that they find that the mechanics and whatnot of the shooter aspect of it aren't all that great. But I am not someone who plays those particular games a lot. Like you, I'm more into the kind of adventure-y, sort of Uncharted type games, the sports games and things like that. So I find that stuff to be okay. I can see a few little issues with it, but overall it's a bit of fun, and I feel like, much like Friday the 13th, it would be far superior if it was you and a bunch of mates. And I would like a bit more variation with the maps. Like, all the maps seem to be the same when you sort of cut it down to it. They're all very similar. I personally would have liked, much like the films, give me a City Hunter or give me a Predator Planet from Predators or something like that. But it seems like they're going to have some of that downloadable content on the way, so I'll kind of enjoy it for what it is.
Right. So do you feel it's got a decent bit of legs, or is it just another one of these ones where maybe you might get a good 6 months out of it and that's kind of it?
I feel like, and me and you have sort of discussed this, and you brought up some points to this too, I'm a fan of what Ilphonic's doing. They've got some good ideas, but I just feel like, similar to you, that they might have made some similar mistakes with this one that they did with Friday the 13th. I mean, there's already... Essentially, I haven't played an online game with the Predator for more than about twice, because you have to wait a lot longer for a game, and sometimes when you're waiting, it'll drop down, so it's 3 people in the game or 2 people in the game, and so essentially I've just played as the fire team, which kind of sucks. You'd like to have a bit of both experience. I don't know, maybe I could be a bit more patient, but when I'm playing, I want to play. I don't want to sit there scratching my balls for 15 minutes before we actually start the game, you know. So yeah, I feel like perhaps they have made a few of the same mistakes as they did with Friday,
which is weird, because wouldn't you have learned from this?
Well,
wouldn't you have learned from these mistakes, and you've got another property on your hands. It's got a built-in audience and a built-in playing group.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, why wouldn't you come out with a single-player missions as well?
Well, some sort of single-player
to get people in.
Yeah, I just think, like, I've never been a fan of these games that are just strictly online multiplayer, because I've always been someone who liked the single player experiences on a lot of these games. I liked playing through a set amount of levels. That's not to say that I don't think there's a place for multiplayer. There absolutely is, and something like Red Dead Redemption has sort of extended the life of a game because I'm playing the multiplayer version of it as well. But it had a fucking phenomenal story and lengthy story to play through to begin with.
Yeah.
And the online is an extension of that. Like, that, to me, that's how gaming is.
Should be.
Yeah, I feel like you've got to start with some sort of single player experience of it. And even just give us some bots for those times that we can't get a fucking game as the Predator, but we want to play.
But Jared, to me, you've got to appease both sides of the coin. So why not have a little bit of, even if it's just like 10 missions like they had with Friday the 13th?
Yeah. It took forever to
get those, but when they finally did get them, that kind of prolonged things a little bit.
Yeah, and at least you could learn how to play as the characters doing that and then jump into the online. But I'm not... Look, I think Predator Hunting Grounds is similar. The lifespan will be short unless, I get a crew of people together that will play it regularly. Then I could say, we would have a couple of good sessions of a Friday night or something like that. But beyond that, I don't think it's going to have a lot of legs for myself. Yep. That's just me, though.
All right. Fair enough. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. All right. Let's take a break. Here's the trailer to 1994's Brainscan.
Now that I have your attention, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Trickster.
What was that film you were watching?
Death.
Death.
Part 2.
Oh, Lord.
Michael's seen it.
Go for it, man.
Done it. Played it.
Look, I've played them all.
And just when he thought he'd die of boredom,
Brainscan, the ultimate experience in interactive terror.
Never leave home without it.
You're in the game, man. You're in control.
You must think like a killer. Cover up any clues. Leave no witnesses, no evidence.
a challenge he can't resist.
It was so real. It was sick.
See, I told you, man. I told you it would blow your mind.
A game he can't escape.
There was a grisly murder in the quiet suburban town of Mountview today.
So you did it.
What was on that disc?
It's not a game anymore.
Hamilton and Hayden.
It's real.
It wasn't supposed to be real.
Real, unreal, what's the difference?
I didn't kill the man. I didn't even know him.
You're in this now. You won't survive on your own. You started this and now you're afraid to finish it, just like you're afraid of everything else.
I won't kill her. Shoot her.
Wait. The witness has to die.
Edward Furlong, Frank Langella, and introducing T. Ryder Smith as the Trickster. Brainscan.
I can't wait to see what you do next.
Brainscan from 1994, directed by John Flynn, who also directed a Seagal picture, Out for Justice. The story was by Brian Owens, who wrote Happy Hell Night, and the screenplay was by Andrew Kevin Walker, who wrote Seven. It's produced by Michael Roy, who produced Loaded Weapon 1, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. So it stars Edward Furlong as Michael, Frank Langella as Detective Hayden, and T. Ryder Smith as the Trickster. I couldn't find a budget for it. I assume it probably wasn't high. And the box office was 4.3 million worldwide. Now, John Flynn, allegedly, according to Internet Movie Database, did not get on well with Edward Furlong during filming. He later said, quote, "Eddie Furlong was a 15-year-old kid who couldn't act. You had to slap him awake every morning. I don't want to get into knocking people, but I was not a big fan of Eddie Furlong." Right. Again, I don't know how true that is and whether that was actually stated in the press, but it was on Internet Movie Database. All right, Jared, look. Talk me through Brainscan. You forced me to watch it.
I did not. I mean, let's. There's a debate over who's to blame for this, but look, I think you might have sort of stacked the kindling, and I might have then said, "No, fuck, we're never watching that." And then I kind of might have dropped a match on there and said, "Maybe we'll watch it."
You
and
fucking got out the bloody gasoline and started.
In any case,
where does this?
I went with a 2. I feel like there is some ideas that would be worth exploring, and there was scenes that came together to say there could be an intriguing little sort of thriller in this concept, but I didn't need the Trickster at all. The Trickster being clearly informed by one Fred Krueger was also a big misstep for mine. And it seems like, I don't know the backstory of the film, but it seems like that might have just been in there. It feels out of place. And it feels like if there's a character here, we need that to be our Krueger. And that was a big misstep. Anytime there was a scene where things were coming together, it was just broken up by that fucking bozo on the screen. There's also, I got some big issues with what appears to me to be the message of the film. That is very dated and just nonsense, to be honest. So yeah, I ended up with a 2. Someone like Frankie Langella might have dragged it back up to a 2 for me.
Okay. I'm in agreement. I went for a 1.5. I think the film, as you said, has intriguing ideas, and some of those ideas could have been mined for some pretty interesting stuff. But almost insisting upon having this ridiculous fucking villain who appears and talks smack and does all this stupid shit is what sinks it. It's its Achilles heel is to have this ridiculous character that, as you said, seems to be Freddy Krueger, but has none of Freddy's menace and stuff from the original films, and is not even really doesn't even have the one-liners that Freddy had at times. And those times of Freddy was at some of his worst.
Yeah.
But so I don't know why they decided to take kind of the worst of Freddy and put it into a film, which seems weird.
Yeah.
Every time the Trickster is on screen, it's fucking embarrassing.
It's like they watched part 4 through 6 of Elm Street and said, how could we make Freddy worse?
Oh, that's right, a red mullet. Perfect. Leather pants, anyone? It's really embarrassing to have him. And on top of all that, the visual effects, which are, quite pronounced, are hideously dated. And, it's hard to knock that stuff because it's 1994, but even by 94 standards, I would say they weren't great. So, 1.5, not a good film. Like, really, not a good representation of trying to sort of build a Freddy. Cause it would seem they were trying to build a bit of a franchise type of starter. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. But, okay, the likes.
What are there?
There are a couple of things.
Yeah, there is.
The idea of kind of having this virtual reality computer game that you kind of go into and it ends in real murder, and you're not sure what blurring the lines between what you actually did and whether you were playing a game.
Yeah.
That shit is interesting.
Yeah, and the way that it was, this is probably its own like, I suppose, the way that some of those scenes were shot, starting with the POV, was actually pretty good.
I actually think that was the best scene in the film, when he first plays the disc.
Yeah, that first particular one started off really well. I mean, she went downhill when the murder becomes kind of, well, this could be a little bit chilling and a bit kind of a bit shocking to laughable when the bloke leaps out of bed and starts flailing around the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that particular,
as you said, he's like Nordberg on a cross.
He's fucking wandering over the windows, closing on his hand. He's fallen into a birthday cake. But that sequence in itself is probably the film's kind of diamond, in the sense that it's shot from a POV. It's got the Trickster. So that's where the Trickster, even if you didn't want to call him the Trickster, should have been a voiceover.
Yeah,
that just walks you through the game.
That's when he's effective. When he's starting, you see Furlong sort of standing out the side of the house, and you hear him there going, "The gate," and things like that. And when he gets to the kitchen or wherever he is, when he grabs the knife and he's pick one, like that sort of stuff is pretty good. And you could imagine that could have been mined a little bit more for when he becomes a bit for the film's message, which I've got a bit to say about later on, but you could see it could have been mined a bit more, seeing Furlong become a bit more comfortable in it. And
or it could have also been mined in the opposite direction of not sure what's real.
Well, this is the thing.
And you build the suspense.
Sure. He's not sure, but I felt like there should have been a point where he's becoming a bit comfortable with it.
Yeah.
From what I got from the film's message, when he's becoming desensitized.
Yeah, true.
The violence or whatever, and then comes back to this, this is fucking real, you know? Like, I felt like they could have gone that way a little bit more.
And that was a starting point where they could have, got some mileage out of and brought it up a little bit there.
Yeah.
Look, Frank Langella, he's fucking phoning it in. He's barely...
he's phoning it in, all right. He's even on the phone in some scenes. He's delivering his performance.
Look, I think he's sending it in via fucking pager.
Yeah.
It
was via fucking virtual reality or whatever Edward Furlong was running in his room, which, as I said to you, it's more reliable than fucking Siri is these days. I say, hey, Google, and the fucking thing doesn't even know what I'm talking about. This bloke's managed to ring it all up so he can do anything.
Fucking Igor rings bloody anybody.
Yeah. Hey, Igor, ring Frank Langella and get him to fucking send his performance over, please.
Langella is barely in it. He phones it in, but he's a commanding presence on screen. And
he fits.
The only time the film has any kind of acting juice is when Langella's there. And that's saying a lot considering he's phoning in.
Yeah.
He's phoning in, yet he's by far the most accomplished actor there.
But the scenes, like when he turns up and he's got a couple of bits where he's talking to Edward Furlong's character, and he's kind of, that's the only time where you're like fucking clenched up for a minute going, oh fuck.
Yeah, he knows
something. He's onto him here, and he delivers it as such. Like, he's not playing his hand, but you can tell this guy knows, this guy is catching on, Like,
and that could have been, again, mined a bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Frank, can you stay for 2 more days?
Do you think we could have had Frank and the Trickster, sharing the screen together?
Surely Frank would not bloody condone his tomfoolery.
No.
Will not put up with it.
Or, as I was mistaken when I first kicked off the picture, for a brief second I thought Langella was the Trickster for a second. I was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken.
You fucking idiot going, Langella's in a dual role. I'm like, what? No, he's not.
Look, I'd had my brain scanned for a minute or two, and I just I forgot where I was going, and then I thought, you're right, it's not in a dual role. I believe your words were fucking, Frank Langella's got more fucking sense than that.
I mean, this is one of his lower points in his career. Imagine if he'd have been the Trickster as well.
Yeah, I should have known. Look, even you could get him into a Skeletor costume, but even he wouldn't have got into those leather strides.
He was in his 50s at the time he made this film. He was not getting into the leather strides. I can tell you now. Okay, personal favourite, Kyle Burns.
Yes,
absolutely Burns Furlong with the classic immortal line, sausage dick.
Yep, I haven't been able to stop saying it since we saw it. I mean, next time you call me up, you can expect me to answer and go, hey, sausage dick.
Oh, God. I loved it.
I don't get what the insult is there either. Like, are we talking?
Well, is Furlong's dick like is it actually a sausage or what?
I don't know. I was trying to work
is it
out.
a fact?
I think so. I think that's it. He's nailed it.
Is it a fact?
He, in fact, has a sausage for a dick, and that's why he's calling him Sausage Dick. Solved.
or is it a joke? Yeah, look, it played well though.
It played like a treat. I don't think it was meant to, but I get it when in Scary Movie when someone says, "Hey, thumb dick," I get what you get. I get the gag there. Hey, sausage dick. I don't really get it.
Yeah. Kyle, great bloke. We'll get to him. Possibly not in this section.
No.
All right. I did like the fact, even though I don't know how well represented or how well handled this was, in the sense of I like the fact that the main character is a horror fan. It's good to see those sorts of fans, the horror fans like us, kind of portrayed on screen. Now, it was 1994.
Yeah, well, look, I don't know about you, but I'm not a sausage dick, apparently. So.
Yeah, I like the required fucking dick dimensions to be included in this crew, but what I guess I liked about it was kind of like, this was 94, so you weren't seeing a lot of that. You're seeing a lot more of it now on screen.
Yeah,
as characters who have interest in horror and interest in those type of things. You're seeing a lot more of it now. This was 94. It was good to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was super successful.
Yeah, look.
I mean, I never wore flannel.
I get. You had a bowl cut.
No, I never had a undercut. Never had a fucking undercut. Go on.
I kind of get what you're saying, and to an extent, I did. Like, I liked seeing them reference Fangoria and reading it in particular
Posters
scenes
on
and
the
things
wall,
like that. But I feel like what I got out of the film says it's not so good to be that. In the end,
that was
where the film goes.
Yeah, that was probably its problem was it was pushing it in a direction that was perhaps a little bit negative towards it, which I don't agree with. And obviously, we're watching these films because we're interested in horror and stuff like that. And I think that probably the way the film handled it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But that probably rolls into what you were saying about the message.
Yep.
Which
definitely
wasn't great.
No.
That's kind of all I had.
I had one more. The scenes where the cops and the neighbourhood watch are searching and whatever is where I felt like it drifted back into where we could have got a kind of exciting sort of thrillery sort of picture.
Yeah.
There was a couple of bits in there where I felt like, we're approaching
where he was hiding
something.
And the dog's looking for him.
Yeah. And Frank Langella again is on the scene for quite a few minutes without having to be fucking subjected to the Trickster again. So, yeah.
Are we sure that fucking Frank Langella, he wasn't fucking Max Headroom? I just fucking whacking him on the screen with a few things in the background.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, you got anything else?
No, that was,
All right.
Oh, hang on, I did have one.
Sausage dick!
Yeah, of course. That deserves another mention.
Yeah.
At the very start, only at the start, where it said music by George Clinton, we had a burst of nostalgia there for the good old days of NBA
Live 2000.
The Mothership Connection.
I don't really know what George... I'm assuming it's the same George Clinton?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, the music was pretty generic. So
look,
George
it wasn't... I felt like that
kind of collecting the check and...
I was having that nostalgic moment. Then when I heard the music, I thought, oh, shit. Maybe we could just play NBA Live and get
back to
get back to that.
All right, nothing else?
That was it.
All right. Just like I'm going to start off by giving Furlong a good kicking. He is a terrible actor. I don't know if he's got any better because I know this was back in that period when he first started.
Yeah.
I don't keep up with his current films, so I don't know if he's got better.
Just quickly, I don't think it's the same George Clinton. I just had a quick look on IMDb.
Different George Clinton. No wonder the music was so shit.
Yeah, we needed the Mothership Connection.
The real George Clinton. Furlong is terrible. Now, I thought he was kind of decent in T2. Mm-hmm. He got that role okay. And it was a pretty meaty role, if I remember correctly, T2. He's in that a fair bit. So it's kind of like he went backwards. It kind of feels like they thought he was a heartthrob or he was a sort of a leading man, but he's not. He's not a leading man's ass. I mean, he couldn't... the only thing he's convincing at, being a shit actor.
Okay. All
He's
right.
a convincingly shit actor.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bit late where, as you said, he couldn't even convince us that he was limping.
Yeah.
He sort of...
I mean, he had one kneecap missing and he still couldn't bloody pull it off. Put a rock in your shoe, idiot.
Yeah, the old bottle cap, something.
Yeah.
There's tricks, Edward, that we could,
Yeah.
ask the trickster. He could have fucking provided you with some of them, perhaps.
No, he would have said, wear some leather pants. Oh, and also fingerless gloves.
Something like that.
So,
for sure.
he is pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think really most of them are pretty bad, bar Frank Langella. The rest of the cast is sort of one note. There's not much there.
Mm-hmm.
The guy playing the character of Kyle. Woo, I had real struggles with him.
Yeah.
Even though he's only on screen for a short period.
Yeah.
And he
was
does
fucking-
produce the best line of the film, of course.
Yeah.
But he's just boorish, he's unfunny.
He was a real sausage dick when it comes down to it, wasn't he? He was just... Yeah.
His character was just, whenever he was on screen, it was kind of like, we just need this guy to go.
Yeah.
And that's not good. Like, that's not good when they're trying to sort of build this relationship, because the film's trying to build this relationship between Furlong and him
Yeah.
as being best mates.
But as I said to you, he starts off and he's kind of like, he's talking about, oh yeah, you got to check out this game. You can pull out chainsaws and all this sort of shit. And then talking about, oh yeah, this is going to be the fucking scariest experience ever or whatever. And then finishes up, and of course calls him sausage dick. And then finishes it off with, hey, buddies forever or something like that. And I'm like, what?
Where'd this come from? This is not a normal interaction.
You do not kick off a conversation with, hey, sausage dick, and finish it off with, buddies forever? No, it doesn't go like that.
And it was kind of being used as kind of like something to fall back on later.
Yeah,
when
definitely.
she comes past with the petition he's put together to get the horror club back up and running.
Yeah.
So
I think I would have signed the other petition and say, get these fucking dickheads out of the
bloody
school. Yeah.
I found the opening a little bit disjointed. I got the sense, I understood what it ended up meaning, is that he's having a bad dream and he's dreaming about when he had a car accident that killed his mother, and he was only a young kid, he was only about 10 or something.
Yep.
But there's no need for that. Like, there's no need to show him sweating in bed and everything as Edward Furlong and then cutting back to when he's young. Just show the accident and then he wakes up.
Yeah, I mean, you did that anyway, right?
Yeah. So
And
piss the extra bits off, because it felt really disjointed. They kept cutting back and forth. Was to show us that this is Edward Furlong.
Yeah. Aside from the fact that he sweats like no man I've ever fucking seen in my life, he's cracking one of the all-time great sweats.
Seriously.
I mean, fucking Patrick Ewing would have been proud of what he was working up there. But yeah, it just felt like I don't know. We kind of got it.
Yeah.
We got the mess or where you were going, but we just kind of got beat around the head with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt a little bit disjointed, a bit long.
And look, John Flynn, the director, I mean, he didn't really have much of a grasp on the action genre when he made Out for Justice. And he doesn't really have a grasp on this either. Like, there's no sequences that garner any tension bar that one bit in the POV when he's playing the game. There's not really any kind of scares or anything in the film. Like, again, I think tonally I didn't really know where it was, because the Trickster feels like a comedic character.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to accomplish?
Well, it was scarier when he wasn't on the screen. Like, whenever the Trickster was there, that's where it was just so uneven. Like, the Trickster was trying for... was he even trying for laughs? Because it wasn't even a laugh to be had. I think he was trying, but as you said, it was like the worst of Freddy Krueger, but without the lines. And I mean, fuck, we both, the only time we laughed was when he started dancing for some reason.
He turned up in his room, put on a CD and starts gyrating around on his bed. Like, what? Like, but what are you trying to accomplish with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you were going to use the Trickster, right? If you are absolutely dead set on the Trickster, you make him like an entity, a darkness. He's in the darkness talking, but not not coming out of that darkness. You need to change up what they did, because what they end up doing.
If he appears, he's like the devil on the shoulder telling you what to do. But I mean, this one he was like a fucking. He had that kind of impish behaviour where he was fucking cackling and carrying on and doing silly things, and that's when it just all went pear-shaped.
And this would have been after Freddy's dead.
Yeah.
Like, this was a couple of years after Freddy's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, Freddy had kind of descended into that kind of shtick as well. So I can kind of see why the filmmakers thought maybe this is the way to go.
Can you?
No, I can't.
You gave Freddy's dead a 0.
No, I can't. In a sense of
money,
maybe this is what the kids are interested in. Jesus.
What kids?
Can't even fucking say this with a straight face.
Yeah, the sausage dicks are interested in this.
The sausage dicks are interested in this sort of stuff, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
The Trickster is an embarrassment.
He is.
Every time he comes on screen.
And I don't think the guy that's playing him, I haven't seen a lot of his other work, but I don't think, he doesn't strike me as a bad actor.
No.
But he's clearly just, I mean, he delivers lines and sounds just like Robert Englund does.
Yeah. And they've got him made up with, like, his mouth deliberately kind of made bigger, and he's got these false teeth in, and he's got the red mullet for some reason. I mean, mullets were out in 94, weren't they? There was a small subsection of the world that might have used it, but they weren't in style, were they?
I don't know whether it was supposed to be stylish. I mean, the red mullet and leather pants wasn't exactly...
And this kind of garish suit jacket he's wearing, and, like, the whole look is bad, the whole tone of what he was supposed to be is bad. Like, I'm kind of baffled by the choices, and I would wonder if this film has some studio interference. Well, that perhaps the script was not quite like this.
It felt like the Trickster was just shoehorned in, which maybe that's why it was.
The Trickster sounded like a producer's note.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Love
because this guy.
Yeah, I love the script, but when he's playing the game, do you reckon we could have a character in leather pants and a red mullet? I've even got a name. We're going to call him the Trickster.
Right, sounds
What do you
brilliant.
think?
Yeah.
Before you get back to me, just remember that I've got the power to say yes or no.
Yeah, I've got the checkbook.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's throw the Trickster in there.
And this is one of the more interesting. No, not interesting. This is one of the bits of the film that I need some answers, Jared, because Eddie Furlong, he kind of joins the Scumbaggery Hall of Fame.
Yep.
A touch, because he keeps looking out at his next door neighbour.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
And the first time we meet her, he's watching her from his window.
Yes.
She seems to be getting undressed. He then brings over a camera to kind of get a closer look.
Mm-hmm.
She does get naked.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is they were both supposed to be teenagers.
Yeah.
Now, the actress was not a teenager.
No.
She was 24 or 25, so that's fine. But in the context of what they were trying to say, this is a teenager, it's a pretty kind of not a real good thing to be doing, I personally think.
It's not something that we wanted in our movies.
And to add to that, that's the first time we meet her.
Yep.
So they have no interaction in that scene. They then have no interaction until about the 45-minute mark.
Correct.
And you're supposed to sort of believe that, she's in love with him, or she likes him and he likes her. That's lunacy.
Yeah. Well, we find out, going into spoiler territory, but we find out later on that she's been taking pictures of him too. So it's
a shot of the elusive sausage
yeah.
in its natural habitat.
Oh, look, I haven't spoken to you, but look, I've heard on the Vine that you have a sausage cock, and I want to check it out. I was snapping away, but it was like trying to get a picture of Bigfoot.
It's like Loch Ness. I thought I saw a Nessie, but I was wrong.
What do you call it? Cocky.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah.
But the whole
thing's really uncomfortable.
There's no real characterization either.
Yeah.
The whole idea of the characterization is that those two are skirting around a potential relationship.
Yes.
That never really materializes.
The relationship is based
we don't even bother to fucking put in.
The relationship is based around, we mutually peeped on each other. So why don't we have a chat?
Yeah, look, I've seen you. I saw you. Like, they're both looking at each other and they catch eyes through the telescopes. Oh, shit, he knows I'm there.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to accept.
Yeah,
because
not
they
only that,
continue to bring it back.
He ramps up the scumbaggery when we hear when Kyle is chatting to him and he's not getting much response. And so then he goes, "Hey, you watching it again? You see your tits yet?" or something like that. And I'm like, okay, so not only is Furlong peeping on her, but he's telling other people that he's peeping on her.
Oh, mate, by the way, I've been watching the girl across the street for months. I think we're almost at relationship status.
Yeah. What's she like? Oh, I don't know. She looks all right, but I haven't spoken to her yet. Okay.
So that whole thing fucks up that relationship because they continue to try and bring it back.
Yeah.
In the back end of the last half hour, they kind of bring up the whole "I love you" type of thing.
Yep.
And it's like, this is bullshit. It's not earned at all.
No, not at all.
Which is a big problem with the film.
Correct.
I had a big giggle at the teacher. He kind of brings Eddie Furlong in after his horror movie club has been watching some sort of disgusting horror film. The principal brings him in and tells him the club's, "Why do you like watching these things?" And Eddie Furlong's like, "Oh, I don't know, they're good to watch." And he's like, "Is it like smoking a marijuana cigarette or watching pornography and getting an erection and going out and raping someone?" So, that went real dark real quickly.
You said that. I didn't say that. Like, I used the word "it's an escape" on it, or the words "it's an escape." And what, an escape, like smoking a marijuana cigarette and escaping, watching porn and getting an erection and raping people? Hey, shit.
Mate,
calm down, buddy.
Yeah, you leave that. You fucking keep that to yourself, mate, because that's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah. And let's not forget that we are led to believe that after one of the murders, Frank Langella goes to the school and talks to everyone. So I'm assuming he talked to the principal. What do you think, principal? These fucking teenagers are porn and rape and
my girls on the phone going, "Look, I couldn't really find any suspects, but fuck, the principal is he's possible for something else."
Just due diligence. Let's fingerprint that guy, like, just in case, because there's a couple of screws loose up there.
Yeah, he's a loon. He goes right off his fucking tree.
He's chatting to you about something, and he just goes right off the air. Fucking, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. I'd be like, look, I gotta leave. I gotta go. I got a class to get to.
Yeah. Yep.
Why do they show that there's a sequence where Furlong's riding home from school and he's fucking souped up bed that he's got.
Yeah.
And he comes across a crime scene. I think Blake's been hit by a car or something like that.
Yep.
And the ambos and the people are taking him away, and there's blood on the road. And then Furlong looks at the blood, and we flash back again to the car accident. And it's like we know what this is.
Yeah, we know that.
Why do we need it? We don't need this. And they never really appropriately address all that.
No.
Because the whole idea is that he obviously feels some sort of guilt, or, the death of his mum really sort of stuffed him round. Yeah,
and I don't know. There's a link clearly to, the messages around how he sees, I don't know, maybe the value of his life and other people's lives when he's watching the movies, and how that blurs the lines when he starts playing the game and things like that. But yeah, it's never really fully developed. But yeah, like you said, why do we need to go to the flashbacks again? Yeah, like when we see the car accident and see him uncomfortable to be near it, we kind of know. Yeah, it was only 10 minutes after we had the first flashback, wasn't it?
But lean into that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
lean into the whole idea that he's traumatized, and
Yes.
this is part of his process. The film, I think, kind of skirts around it and is trying to say something about that.
Well, the way that the message breaks out, it leaves the accident stuff in the dust, sort of. That's that's the way I saw it, anyway.
Yeah, I just didn't understand that because it never really resolves anything.
Yeah, correct.
Jared, you mentioned it before, the POV, which was the best part of the film, where he wanders into the house and he goes up, gets the knife, and he goes upstairs and he finds a guy sleeping on the bed. The Trickster kind of pushes him, kill him.
Yep.
And so he does, and he stabs him in the back. And fucking old mate leaps it. Like, the sequence is going well.
Yeah.
It's building some tension, it's building some suspense.
Yep.
And it's pushing things a little bit, and it could have been quite horrific.
Yeah. And then it begins with the bloke flopping over in bed to the screen.
And the music goes,
and then, as you said, once he gets stabbed,
he leaps out of bed and fucking scrabbles against the wall and falls over everything. It's comical.
he starts flying around the room like a bloody deadite from Evil Dead or something.
Yeah,
He's flinging from one end to the other.
It's just comical, and I can only assume that's not what they were intending.
No, I thought it would have been much more effective if that was kind of shocking.
Yeah, just stabbed him and you just saw it from POV.
Yeah, or something like that.
And then he looks down.
Yeah.
And he's dead, you know.
Yeah. Preferably something without the Nordberg-esque performance before
Stepping in a bear trap.
Yeah, definitely.
But he then saws his foot off, which again could have been added to that shocking moment, but it's undone by the comical crap that comes beforehand.
Yes.
Also, if you're going to saw a bloke's foot off and you're going to put it in the freezer, at least wrap it, maybe pop it underneath the fucking frozen peas or something.
As you said.
Hide it?
Yeah, bag of peas, something in front of it.
I know your dad's not home. He's coming home in a couple of days.
Yeah.
He opens the freezer to get some bloody fish fingers out.
Especially given that, he says the whole brain scan thing starts off with, you're going to commit a murder or whatever, and then it says, and you're going to think like a killer. Cover the trail. And okay, so does covering the trail involve just placing the foot in plain sight in the freezer so your dad walks in thinking, oh geez, I might have a couple of fish fingers for dinner, and then go,
oh Jesus, what's this?
Oh, frozen foot.
Well, I had another thing about the Trickster here, just saying he was the absolute worst, but we've already covered that.
Yeah, I think we've made that known.
I also, just further on from the Trickster, adding to the Trickster's crap, once again, they come back to him in that scene where he's eating.
Mm-hmm.
Like Eddie Furlong's been out doing something and he comes back and the Trickster's eating like raw chickens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm asking, is this supposed to be funny?
Yeah. That just...
What is this?
Again, that's where the tone just went off the bloody wall, and anything that we were developing with this kind of him being shocked by what he's doing with the killing and stuff just went all over the place.
Yeah. And the Trickster brings no sort of menace or scariness to any of it.
No.
And so when you come back and he's eating like a fucking pig in his bedroom, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, that's where I was kind of getting lost with why we had this character at all. And I felt, like you said, maybe just the disembodied voice, or if you're going to play him very differently. Don't have him doing any of that shit. Have him talking to Furlong and not
almost
much
like
else.
his, as you said, his conscience.
Yeah, or something
talking
like
to
that.
him in his ear, or he's just this shadowy figure in the
I
dark of his room.
Certainly wouldn't have, to borrow the great, Tommy Lee's words, I certainly wouldn't have fucking sanctioned his buffoonery with all this kind of...
No.
With all this nonsense.
No, and if I'm John Flynn, cut!
Yeah.
We're not doing that again.
Yeah.
You will stop doing that shit.
Kill the chicken, kill the plate of food, fucking get rid of the lot of it.
Get rid of a lot of it.
I just want him fucking standing there and we're just going to talk.
What about the red mullet? Get rid of the red mullet.
Keep the red mullet. Pants? Yeah, definitely. Keep the pants. I'll keep the pants.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'll use them tonight. They kind of go away from the POV too.
Yeah, they
when
do.
he plays the other discs.
And I get the sense, I understand why, but I would have kept, as I said, the POV a bit longer and got him sort of comfortable in it somewhat, and then maybe transition to, okay, well, it's just him, when we get the sense that that's what's happening.
But I think you could have still run. I get why they did it, because they had other people following him and that, and you were trying to sort of find out where all that was going.
But couldn't you have still done it?
Yeah.
Couldn't you have still done some POV and then chucked in a couple of like those reverse shots of just Furlong's face as he's walking through it or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, because as soon as you put him in there, it kind of killed any of that tension.
Because one thing is, you got the POV where he's running from the cops and they're out and about. Ted Holler, fucking shit, Earl. Fucking killed Ted Holler stuff.
Earl and the gang fucking strike
with their guns and stuff. That would have actually made for quite. I don't know if it would have been sphincter sort of muscle tightening, but it would have been more. The feeling would have been heightened by the fact that you were kind of almost in his shoes.
Yeah, and I think. I mean, again, coming back to what I felt the message of the film was, that totally would have fit. Putting you into the shoes of it, like that's what it was saying to us, wasn't it? Like, I'll get onto that in a minute, but I felt like that. Yeah, it was saying you're basically in the shoes. You're becoming
living vicariously through this whole thing.
We're blurring these lines here, you know. So it seemed to fit.
So what was your issue with the message?
Okay, so my issue with the message was that it seemed to be that this was definitely kind of one of those films that was sort of saying that you do become desensitized to these things, and playing video games and losing connection to other people turns you into a fucking serial killer. So maybe not, you know, it's obviously not that extreme, but this in the film it was that extreme.
Yeah.
But it's kind of clumsy in a lot of ways because, I mean, number one, it was at a time when people were like, oh, fuck, you play Mortal Kombat, you're going to turn into a fucking raving lunatic. We know that's utter fucking crap. So it hasn't aged well from that sense. And this is where I had issues with the characterizations of the horror kids. For one, I felt they were fucking ridiculously out of touch, like the way that Kyle spoke and the way that they talked about the movies and the games and shit was way off. But that it's putting a negative spin on this, but it's doing it while you're watching a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
So, and this is no different to, this was kind of, you know, built on the Freddys and the kill sequences or whatever, which is kind of that exploitation-y stuff anyway. And then, of course, as we said, the better alternative, he goes over to the party. He disconnects and fucking smashes his computer and stuff. And then he goes to the party where there's a number of fucking ball bags laying passed out next to a fucking keg of beer. So you're saying that's the better alternative. Yeah, let's connect with people and get shit-faced.
Yeah. And we hear some bug at the toilet go, and shuddering up his lungs.
Again, I'm not judging that. I'm sitting here with a beer in my hand at the moment. But it's like, it's the message was, I felt it was...
you can't make that message over here about violence and have this message about
exactly
where alcohol and stuff is.
Yeah,
like you can't have that message.
I felt that part in particular was clumsy. I felt it was heavy-handed, and I felt it was it was heavy-handed. It's a message that has clearly been fucking pushed to the side. I mean, some people still go with this violent video games nonsense, which I think is pretty well. I'm not saying, obviously, we're gamers, and I'm not saying there's not such a thing as gaming addiction and that it can actually be dangerous for certain people. But, I mean, fuck, it's just like anything. A bit of moderation, none of that shit's all that bad for you. And it was doing it through an avenue that it's basically telling you is not very good.
Yeah.
So,
the whole thing was really heavy-handed.
Maybe I misread it, but that's what it felt like with me, and especially with sequences like at the end where he fucking joins up with the Trickster. And it's like, that to me said, you fucking continuing to watch these things, that you're becoming what you're watching and all this sort of stuff. And then, you know, again, the pretty explicit stuff at the end where he finishes up with the game and fucking smashes all that shit and decides to go and join the party where all these people that he hasn't been fucking socialising with are hanging out and passing out.
They don't know him either.
They don't know him, exactly. Like, it's
strange kind of way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
Coming back to the effects,
bloody good, weren't they?
Oh, they were shocking. Like the bit where he
They
molds
weren't-
with the Trickster.
Yeah. They were sparing in some ways, but whenever his computer system's going and
Yeah.
like it's just the classic 90s bloody tech.
Yeah, and again, it's that whole idea that this looks good,
Yeah.
but it may have looked good in '94, possibly,
Yeah.
but it doesn't age well. There's a lot of a problem with this and Ghost in the Machine, apart from being shit movies. The technical side of it, although which may have looked good back then, immediately dates the film. So a year later, you're looking at it going, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
You know?
Any sense of time between it, the advancements in technology make all this shit look fucking ridiculous. Like it did with Ghost in the Machine. Any of the tech that he's using shows that the people that were writing it kind of overestimated the tech, didn't kind of really understand what the limitations were and what a kid
kind
in
of
his room
felt
could do.
that this was where young people were interested in.
Yeah.
This high tech kind of film stuff.
Yeah.
Filming like stuff involving high technology.
Yep.
That was all happening in the 90s, which probably wasn't really correct.
No. And I mean, you watch a movie like this and it was out at a similar time to a game like Night Trap.
Yeah.
It did cause a lot of controversy and does have kind of resemblances to what he's doing in the movie in some ways. So, I mean, you can see it's of the time and it was kind of on the mark in some aspects like that, but with the time between it doesn't look all that good.
No. I felt that it was all a dream was really kind of undercutting everything.
Well,
Like
it kind of felt like, I must say, I did feel like at some point it was going to be, he's going to come out of the game.
Yeah.
And everything's going to be as it was. So, it was a bit of it was expected, I guess.
Yeah.
It didn't really throw a lot
But
of
it means
surprises.
there was no real sort of. You couldn't cling to any stakes or
No
whatever.
real stakes,
He didn't have to convince the girl that he didn't do this.
Yeah.
Or he didn't have to convince the cop that he was innocent, or and convince people of who the Trickster was. And maybe, in a way, maybe that was a good thing, because that would have been too hard to convince anyone.
But I feel like it would have been, as you said, it would have been better in terms of the stakes and where we went with it.
Yeah.
I probably would have preferred that he was kind of working around that.
Yes.
There was an element of blending it with the real life, you know?
So I felt I was a little bit disappointed in that. And the last bit, the movie ends on some shocking new metal. It goes to credits with this new metal crap that seems to have been played throughout. 1994. Tough year.
Yeah.
Tough year.
Yep.
Did you have anything else?
No, I think that was everything for me.
All right. Well, that was Brainscan from '94.
Do you want to just chuck Shocker straight in the Blu-ray now? Or
Look, I need some time to
process?
get my bearings,
Okay.
get my strength back before I watch.
Fair
Shocker.
enough. There's a lot of features though. We got a lot of.
I know. It's a special edition. I noticed.
Yep.
Which seems extremely strange. Right? Yeah.
Waste of time. I would have said.
I mean, some of us will buy these things.
Well, like I said, you stack the kindling.
I loaded the fucking gun, but you're firing pulling the trigger.
Yep.
All right. You can find us on Podomatic, iTunes, and Spotify. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia and at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. We're also on Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Make sure you rate and review us on iTunes and Podomatic. Keep an ear out for our next episode and keep an eye on the Facebook page to see what that will be. But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later.
See you, sausage stick.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.